So, what's going on? Well, oh, well, it says, hey, don't forget we're going to die. You're there again? I'm like, yep. I got the four horsemen with me. See, there's four. Here's what they don't tell you there's four of them, but there's four males and there's four females, according to some, which would make sense, right? Until you don't identify as either, which, do you identify as a color? I think a color would be easier than a pronoun because, you know, you're because color does not have gender because you can be a blue male and a blue female. So by definition, that means there's no gender because they could be both. They could be neither. So, so why? Let's get rid of pronouns and just make them colors. So what color are you? So that's what you ought to say instead of like, who are you? It's like, well, what color are you? Because that's a grouping of personalities that they're embedded in a story that they believe that is true. And so again, see how much yellow is in there? Yeah, that's infrastructure at a higher level. So what that means is that is it. There's a transition coming on the other side of that. And if you identify as human, you know that's 100% true because it's 100%. So, so at some point, you wake up and you're like, I'm going to be called from either I'm going to be called from the game, right? And you're like, not yet. And I'm like, well, why does my nose itch? And they're like, I have no idea. And then your daughter, she chimes in and she says, hey, you okay? And you're like, I think so. She goes, have you done your bio exit? And I go, no. So then it should be a running joke. It's like, you're going to die. You should do a bio exit. That's all. It's like literally go back a year. So you have a year to live. Okay. And then get your shit in order. And then if you have 5 years after that or 10 years, you already have your shit together. So then hey, then you can just absorb in the ness of, you can create the ness. And that's what humans should do. They should know that they're called from the game they're playing, the story they're in, 100%. Now, if you have an exit strategy, let me know because it could be true, and I would like to bake that into my story. But, anyways, I'm not looking for a bio exit because I have one. See, it's right here. Actually, that's so much easier than this. Because at the end, right, you're going to die. You're called from the game. What do you think's going to happen? Tell me that. Tell me that first. So you're at the end, and you're either going to go, and you're out. And then what? You're going to wake up, and you're going to go, huh. And then I could go, guess what? You made it over. You're in a dream. It's a dream state. And they're like, what? I go, the Augies took me over and forced me to make these videos to help me help them as the Augies in blue. And then you're off, and they're like, is that true? I go, it's a story. It's a story. Instead of me writing because I'm not that smart, I put these out. And this is part of the story at a higher level. So at the end, unfortunately, you're in the sector that you have to figure everything out. And if you do that, you get your truth card and you go, how's your truth? I go, I'm in inner knowing hell. And they're like, oh, like we told you everything, and then you have to incorporate everything into what you know to be true. And then once you do that, you're good to go. I'm like, yeah, that's where I am. And they're like, okay, try not to go crazy. And I'm like, what? Try not to go crazy? Well, if you go too big, if you go at scale too big, what's that happen? What happens then? You could go crazy. Yeah. And you can define crazy in so many different ways. So, anyways, I have what? Well, I have a patterning. Look, I don't. I mean, that's like simple. That's simple. That's like, okay, there are types of colors. Have you been all those colors? I go, actually, I have. And it was fun. So, you know, currently I'm in the purple story. And so, see, at the end, you're going to have to figure it out or not, or you won't be able to figure it out. See, that's the other thing. A lot of people don't tell you this. They're like, at the very end, you're going to die. Yes. Then what? And then the fun begins. It's like, oh, up, 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 up. I'm like, okay. Or they're like, what? Because I'm like your last stop. It's like, okay, you have to figure everything out. If you do, you can continue. It's beautiful. You can be part of the nuns. You can, you might not be able to edit much. Kind of locked into a certain frame rate. Yeah. What else? Okay, so you wake up, you're gonna die, and someone goes, "You're dead, right?" You're like, "No, I'm not." And then the story begins. Either you're not dead, meaning you've come out of wake sleep, awake state when you're identified as you were asleep. Yeah. So that's another scientists go, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I go, do you sleep at night? And if you do you go into a different states? The best way I can come up with it, because it's a different reality where different rules apply. So, but you have to have the ability to do that. And if you did, that could definitely be an exit strategy for conscious agents, which means you want to keep your essence of you predominant over the group. So then you can become a mui, which means you're embedded in a larger group, your groupings. And the cool thing is I already see color, and color has personality to me. How do I know this? Because I put them in the way that I group them is the way I want to see them. And I do it in a deep way. And so everything that I know to be true has to be true to me. And if it's not, I'm at the point where you have to tell me that it's not true, because I'm playing at scale. I'm in infrastructure. So I'll say two things. I play at scale and I'm in infrastructure. Your move. They'll be like, what? I'm a mui. I'm a mui. And I think I want to be a yellow mui. Yellow muis are so next level, next gen out. And I would hope that my offspring would want that if it resonates with them and they're good, because that's the fun part of being human, is that you get to project other and what would make them happy. You're like, I don't know. Okay, can you go 2 more minutes or not? So I'm at the way station. I'm looking at the node. I've had, I pretty much have. I've been brown today, electromagnetic. I'm in the house. So you've been electromagnetic. You've been gravity. W1s, man. I think that'll be part of the infrastructure where, because you have to just then define, okay, at what point do you want to turn around? I'm like, I think I want to turn around in purple. You don't want to pop out of the crown. I go, no, I think I'm going to stay in purple. And I want to figure that, because definitely as a human, I want to do that. And then afterwards, probably not. But if I do that, because I'm pretty good, I've I've self transcended, which means I've let go, which is funny, right? Because it's different than the conscious agents, man. They're all going counter gravity, counter. It's just like there's a big infrastructure going against the grain. And then once you surrender, you're then part of either what the conscious agent grabs and moves forward, or you just move back into whatever your belief system is, if you even have one yet. Because that's the thing, that unless you've experienced a non, you have no idea what I'm talking about, because they're no longer a self, which is awesome. So they have an essence, a bigger essence, man. Tap into that. And it's like, because at some point you're going to have to release. And when you want to release, you want to have the concept of the nons all around you, because it is beautiful and And you don't even really have to evoke it, I don't think.